What's up, GAZBOT? Coming at you with this new video, and this, just for clarification, the next couple of videos I put up are not going to be super current. Most, like the one you're about to watch is over a month old in terms of what is happening. So while I appreciate likes, comments, discussion, etc., if I say something like, I don't know where to get a good piece of cheese, and you're like, well, here's a good place to get a piece of cheese, that advice no longer needed because I've either gotten it or not gotten it a month and a half ago. But anything bigger question, life question, obviously, still give me answers. Not that I'm asking them. Whatever. You get the point. It's my new vlog. It's mostly about New Jersey, a little bit of Delaware. There's some art in here. It starts off with me using my iPad Pro, so you got a little bit of art stuff. And, yeah. "5:55 in the morning, on my way to the airport the day after the convention. Once again, had about maybe 4 hours sleep if I was lucky. Here we go." So on the plane, I decided to give the iPad Pro with Procreate and the Apple Pencil a workout. And here you can see I wasn't sure what I was going to draw, and I just started drawing this alien-looking guy with a bass and an amplifier in the mountains. Deliberately not choosing a specific character or working on the comic or anything, just to practice inking and laying out and everything like that. My general feel is it works really good for pencils, for roughs, for layouts, for concept stuff. Inking, it works okay. In a pinch, I could use it. It would not be my preferred method. The Cintiq and Photoshop still work better in terms of sensitivity and line quality. But again, you can see here, it gets the job done. The other thing, though, is my back hurt afterwards. I was hunched over for, whatever the hour or two it took me to draw this, and so that was not fun. New Jersey. It's day one here. I'm at my in-laws' house. You can see their backyard. So when people talk about the disgusting place New Jersey is, you can see why I often am a bit skeptical. There are disgusting places, just like everywhere else. But this is, a nice backyard and a nice place. So we went and got some awesome bagels for breakfast. I always talk about how bagels are better out here, but then I forget until I actually have them, and it's like, only that's a good sound. So then went back to the house. Q is working from home. I decided to work from home, practice on my iPad Pro some more, but my pencil was running out of power. It was on 5%. I forgot to bring my adapter charger, but you can charge your pencil from your iPad. So I plugged it in, but that meant I couldn't work. So I went for a ride. The two Walgreens, Toys R Us, found nada. But there was a Dairy Queen that had Orange Julius, so score! Now I'm going to head back, maybe stop at a GameStop, and hopefully things will be charged up. Then later on tonight, we're going out to eat with friends. Yeah, it's definitely much faster. I'm in Red Bank, New Jersey. This is the closest thing I have to a hometown. I moved around a lot. The actual downtown is behind me, where there's Yestercades, which is a arcade, and Kevin Smith's store and all that kind of stuff. And this is just slightly off the trail, and you can see it immediately becomes the suburbs. If you go down a bit, there's a highway and the mall and all that. But once again, coming back to, when people are like, "Oh, sorry, you're from New Jersey," or "Armpit of America," it's like, really? Come on, you've clearly never been to New Jersey. Yes, there are crummy parts just like anywhere, but so this whole video is gonna be about how great New Jersey is. No, not true. There's a, I don't know what that is. I guess I better leave. Anyway, not a lot to report so far. Got some good bagels, got some good Chinese food, got some good diner food. Saw a couple friends in between checking in with the family, and actually had a few minutes to kill. And the Secret Stash, which is Kevin Smith's comic store, I went in there to see about getting a copy of X-Men Gold #1, which apparently there's all that controversy about. If you're interested, just look up X-Men Gold #1, you'll find it. But I haven't read X-Men in a while, and I didn't want it for the controversial, because they're going to stop printing it. I mean, I guess it'd be nice to have a little piece of comic history, whatever, but the point is that in the story, they talk about how Kitty Pryde is how now the leader of the X-Men, and that interested me because I'm a big Kitty Pryde fan, and so I was like, oh, maybe I'll jump back on a new #1, Kitty Pryde, but because it's this controversial issue, it's $20, even though it came out last week. So I was like, nope, never mind. But I did ask about their policy for taking independent comics, which I didn't have with me because I didn't plan on bringing the horror over there today. But they said I gotta talk to Mike, and he will not be back until next week, but I will be here next week, so that is what I'll do. Anyway, I'm leaving now. I'm in Atlantic Highlands, which is near Leonardo, New Jersey. Sort of, not really the shore, but it is along the water because I'm getting near it. But It's not the shore is what I think of where the boardwalk is and the beach and all that kind of stuff where people normally go, or at least where I went. I went to Seaside or Point Pleasant, etc. But waiting for Q to get out of a hair appointment with a hairdresser that she likes that is in New Jersey, so she's taking advantage of over here. But it's taking forever, and so I'm killing time walking around the town, and found a little antique store, and now I'm just kind of heading down the road towards where the water is, and then I'll turn around. But one thing I noticed that I maybe hadn't mentioned before, something I see here that I didn't see a lot out in California, there's older buildings and stuff, which is to be expected because, you know, this is an older state and there were, you know, older buildings here. But what you see a lot is homes, older homes, like colonial homes converted into businesses, sometimes still right next to other homes. So it's not unusual to have a row of houses and it'll be like a lawyer, 3 people's houses, a dentist, but they all look like houses. Similarly, walking down this street, and I didn't get footage of it, maybe on the way back, you see like an attorney's office that clearly used to be a library, or, you know, there was a dermatologist and it looked like it used to be some sort of old bank or something. So it's a lot of like odd juxtaposition of the architecture versus the business contained within, but it also gives it kind of a personality. There's a building over there that says Shore Casino, but I thought gambling was illegal except for in Atlantic City. I don't know. It's hot. It's like 80 something. It's hotter here than it's been in California. I didn't bring any sunscreen, so I'm wearing a hood. Kind of reminded of Comic-Con when it was too hot to be wearing a hoodie, but I was afraid of sunburn. Also didn't bring my sunglasses because I'm an idiot. But I got to the end of the road in Atlantic Highland here, and sure enough, yeah, here's part of the coast, a little beach. I mean, there is literally a beach and literally a pier, and there's some boats docked over there, and a couple boats docked over there, and a couple restaurants and stuff, but it's not the touristy beach. Hey, look, a dog. Anyway, I'm gonna go down there because I am. So yeah, here's the ocean, but if I pan a little bit, keep going, you see the trees, and then back here, you can see there's just like an apartment building, some trees, and you know, it's kind of like not a big deal that it's here, so it's hard to call it the beach, although technically it is. I don't know what I'm talking about. Look at this weird little overflow. It's going right out into the ocean, but it's cutting through the sand. I don't know if this is coming from a river, or this is leftover of flooding, or what. Well, I guess there's a bridge there, so there must... I don't know. I'm not giving you a lot of information. Just like, hey, look at this neat thing. And I'm sharing it with you. I like it. I don't know exactly what it is. I mean, it's water. Yeah, water. That's it. Check out this little guy. He didn't seem to even notice. Well, I didn't notice him. He didn't notice me. We just walked right up on each other. I'm going to try to go around. Hopefully I won't disturb him. Ah, there he goes. Tried to tell him. I tried to tell him. I am by no means a graphic designer or a letterer, but every now and then I'm reminded why it's important. When I was looking at this sign, I was having a really hard time reading it, because how I read it was, if you leave your children alone, I'm giving them an espresso. So it's odd that they're emphasizing you, and if they are going to emphasize you, I feel like then they should emphasize I'm. But also, it's odd that they change the color halfway through, so it's like, if you leave your, feels like one sentence. And then children alone, I'm giving them espresso. I don't know. It's not the end of the world, but I can see the importance of such things and how they're failing here. It's kind of a small example of what I'm talking about. There's this insurance agency and a resources real estate broker. But the building, I mean, it might have been meant for that, but I don't know, it's just old, you know? And either it's an old-fashioned way of doing business or it was repurposed from something else. And it's brick, but then right across the street, you know, there's like metal doors and like, I don't know, it's just all very hodgepodge, not very uniform. In relation to itself and the street it's on, but also in terms of the types of businesses in them. This is something I see a lot here that I don't see back in California, is these weird little alleyways, which are basically just the space between two buildings, but they're wide and, you know, kind of in this modern world where we need real estate, it's a waste of space. Usually they just lead to a parking lot or the next street or whatever. And again, I think this is a holder from older architecture. Maybe that used to be for carriages or just, you know, more lovely. I hurt my knee as I stepped right there. Good. Look, they must have an old-fashioned barbershop on the ceiling of that place that says Edward's Rest. What? What am I looking at? And then down here, there's some kind of ice cream store right next to a bank. Across the street, you can see First Cup Coffee. Another stunning example of excellent graphic design. Also, maybe was a house, maybe was an ice cream shop. I don't know. It just seems a little... It's definitely repurposed and with terrible graphic design. This is the dermatologist I was talking about. Rao Dermatology. Tell me that doesn't look like it used to be some kind of bank or like a J.C. Penney's back in the 50s or something. It is odd and fancy. And not only does it match the Termatologist, but it's right across the street from First Cup Coffee and a counselor at law. And then there's a chair, sure. And the thing is, I'm pointing out all of this is like, wasn't this odd and weird and incongruous, whatever, it doesn't match. And it's kind of true, but this is kind of how it is in a lot of areas around here, most of the areas I grew up in. So it never seemed weird to me. And it doesn't even seem that weird to me now. I'm just very aware how it is not universal. Or at least, you know, not universal to the places I've lived. But again, meanwhile, there's a nice little park, and there's a library and a building. This might be the most boring video I've ever done. It's Thursday, and I just had breakfast with my father, who I haven't seen in, I don't know, a year, which is nice. But really, any day that starts with a diner is a good day. I mean, family's good, but a diner's forever. In the retirement village where my father lives, you could see this burned up trailer that apparently has been like that for a few days. It's pretty crazy looking. Place I like to eat in New Jersey is called Surf Taco. There's one in Red Bank, and it has a lot of artwork in it, which is done by a gentleman named Jay Alders, who I know. We're Facebook friends. No, but we used to do caricatures together back in the day, and it's cool. He mostly does surf art now. He's a surfer, but it's always fun when I go there because I get to see his art as well as eat delicious burritos. And I got the R5-D4 exclusive from GameStop, having nothing to do with anything. This is a comic store in Jersey City, which I tried to go to see if they wanted to put my book in it, but even though the hours said it was open and it had cool graffiti, it was closed, and there was a lock on the door with a bag with water in it. That's it right there, FJB Comics. I don't recommend going. I think it's closed down. But this was us in Jersey City, which is kind of cool. It's right outside New York. It's kind of like a Hoboken-y place. You could live and park there and sort of, it's like, it's not the suburbs, but it's not the city. What do you call it? I don't know. Suburb city? And this is some kind of vegetarian something I got to eat. I don't even remember what it was. It was at a place that had a fancy, dirty door. It was dirty fancy. Easter at my Aunt Sue's, where we feed swans. Go ahead, throw some to him.
What?
Throw him a little bit.
I just did.
Oh, okay.
What's the matter there? They need the water to help digestion, right?
Yeah, that's what Sue was saying.
Biting at the deck again, I like that.
He put his head through the grate before, like he was gonna bite at one of us, like,
yeah.
Give us some food.
Feed me already.
Yeah, there. Look at him. That's not
Excellent
food, you
shot.
goofball.
Okay, here you go.
They say the Easter Bunny. No. Just these idiots with no faces and a Ferris wheel that make nice bunnies. Bunny's the bunny. So still having trouble getting to work on the actual comic or anything like that, but I was practicing once again. This is my version of Too Bad from He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. I didn't use reference. I didn't look anything up. I deliberately tried to do him out of my memory, so he is inaccurate. But once again, I was practicing. I was quite happy with the laying out type work I did. The inking once again came a bit harder. This right here, if I remember right, isn't even inking. It looks like I'm inking it, but then I will make the opacity lower and go back and do a whole nother, I don't know, row of inking? No, that's not true. A whole nother pass of inking, not a row. Rows are for boats. So here you go, here's the actual inking. And it is coming out fine. Honestly, the bigger problem is when I try to match a different style. If I kind of go with the style that it allows me to do, it's not so bad. But I'm trying to match a style in my head or a previous style of the comic, and that's where it gets more difficult. I do find that the coloring was easier, and yeah. At this point, I'm going to speed this up. Okay, so you can see I have the inks mostly done. I'm just finishing them up here. And as I was saying, the color I found a lot easier. I muted the background, threw in the flats, and I found myself doing a sort of animation style, like a sort of color cell shading, which is not that terribly different from how I color now. The main difference being that it's there's no gradients, there's no blending of opacity. It's 100%. I pick, like, for example, purple, and then I pick a darker purple and a lighter purple, and that's it. There's no blending, there's no subtlety to it, and it's a style I enjoy, and it worked really well with the iPad. So again, I feel like it is good for creating work and possibly even finished work. I just had a really hard time finishing my work with it, and part of it is it was difficult to concentrate because I had other things going on while I was there, and it was also difficult to find a time and place. I kind of felt like I needed a table, even though theoretically I could put it in my lap. Like I said, I kept hunching over. My back would start to hurt. So there was that, and then a few times I pulled it out and started working on it, and then people would kind of comment or discuss it, which, you know, I could ignore a little bit, but it gets difficult to, you know, if I'm doing something like this, it's fine, but if I'm trying to think about comic pages and people are, you know, and not that anybody was being a jerk or anything, it's just my own hang-ups probably. So the mobile option of it worked best on the plane, I guess. Beach! Took a trip over to the Comic Crypt, a comic store. This is the back part of it where they have, you know, cool themed stuff. All, you know, they have like a hearse and things like that. And Sasha Velour, the drag queen from RuPaul's Drag Race, who is one of my wife's favorite, actually did a photo shoot there, which is kind of cool. But what's more cool is that they bought some of my comics, straight up independent support for from the Comic Crypt in New Jersey. Check them out.
Hey there. Hi there, ho there. It's me, GAZBOT, and we're in the middle of the video now, and we're in the middle of the trip now. I think roughly halfway through. I'm at my parent-in-law's house right now. I'm about to go out to meet my cousin for lunch, and what's been going on? Well, yesterday I went to the Comic Crypt, which is a local shop in New Jersey here, Shrewsbury, and I got my book in there, which is good. And they were pretty cool about it, too, because they said normally they would give you space to put your book up and take 0 commission, which is kind of like what Hector at Variant Comics and Games had done for me, which is the best deal I had gotten, which is just, you know, we'll sell it, you keep it, because we like indie comics. But since I was an out-of-towner, they offered to buy it from me at half cover price, so I put 6 issues there. That was nice. I'm going to try to get it into Secret Stash and maybe another place or two. I went to a place called Comics Plus, which is a comic store that had been around since I was in high school, had moved a few times. Apparently it closed down like 2 years ago. I did not know. So that was a bit of a bummer. And I've seen some friends and things, and you saw some snippets, and there'll be some more snippets, but this is just a quick little update in the middle. As far as the iPad Pro with the Apple Pencil in Procreate, I have been using it, but not as much as I thought I would. I've been getting more work done than the 0 I would be getting done, but I've done very little on my comic. I've mostly been still practicing with it, I guess. So I'm digging it. I definitely think it works for coloring and for... I even think it works for inking, because I inked that piece. But I think the thing I still have difficulty with is matching the inking style I had been doing using Photoshop and the Cintiq. I think there's just a little disconnect there. Again, there might be some settings that I'm unaware of or a brush I could find, but having worked on it, you know, for a week or so now, you know, pretty intensely, I'm happy with it overall. Good for pencils, design, coloring, even finished artwork, I'll say, but it might be difficult to match a pre-existing style. Had I started my book now, I'd probably have a slightly different style. Again, this might only be my perception too, so who knows. What's the other thing? What is the other thing? I don't know. So I'm going to move on from now, and we'll talk to you in the future.
This will be my 3rd time at the Broadway, not the Broadway, the Americana in Shrewsbury on Highway 35. This is my 3rd time here, and I can't get enough. While all diners are great, this one is one of the best. So I went to the diner to meet my cousin, and I was waiting for her, and I brought the iPad, and I was messing around with the next page of the horror. So this is the same day as a second ago. So right after saying I haven't done a lot of work on the horror, I started. But I had completed the Too Bad picture, and I was like, you know what, instead of doodling around more, let me try to work on a page. And the one thing, I started inking, and then I decided to address one of the reasons I have trouble matching the style sorry, I thought I just stepped on something, but I didn't. Well, I did technically, but it's grass, so that's okay, is the very fine lines. And so I looked in the brush settings of the brush I was using, and I saw that there's a minimum and maximum size. So I reduced the minimum to as low as you can go, which was, I had it at 1, I put it at 0, and I made 0, and it didn't make much difference. It was a little bit better, but then I realized that I think there's an algorithm in Photoshop, in the brush I'm using, that adds a transparency. So what I did was, I made it as low as it could go, made it 0, zoomed in as much as I could, and then reduced the opacity to about 90%. That almost did it. And then I reduced it a little bit more, and it got pretty close. So I had the thin lines with a little bit of opacity, so it made it almost a gray, and I didn't realize that was happening in Photoshop. I thought it was a straight black, but I now know that it's not, and I can more closely match it in Procreate. Still not 100%, but much, much closer than it was. So good learned. So I'm still in New Jersey visiting my cousin. He watches these videos apparently. So say hi to you.
Hi, Glenn. In the past.
More.
No.
Okay.
Target, Target, go to Target, Target, go to Target, Target, go to Target.
And now it's time for the breakdown. Target, target, T-A-R-G-E-T. We're going to the target. That's you and me. Ha ha!
Yes, that's powder.
Smash cut to Delaware, where my mother and my brother live. This is at Waffle House. That's some hash browns. Good. Went to a Goodwill, saw this old-fashioned Lego. I was like, oh man, maybe I'll pick that up. That looks kind of cool, like when I was a kid. $25. Goodwill is no longer cheap. Goodwill is a jerk. It might as well be a vintage store. Other than that, there was a lot of stuffed animals. But what's funny is I looked in the box and it was missing a lot of pieces, and it is actually worth a few bucks on eBay, but because it's missing all the pieces, it wasn't worth probably what they were asking for. But I was talking to someone about it, and when I went back, somebody else had bought it. So good for them. Hope they like it. Here's something you don't see every day. We buy houses for cash. There you go. That's how you want to sell your house. And here's something else you don't see every day. My artwork hung up in a house. Awkward. This is another thing you don't see every day. This is spaghetti lasagna. It was delicious and decadent, and I gained 10 pounds while I was away.
You know what takes a long time? Deflating an air mattress. Dog, this is Honey. Hi. Stop.
So during the New Jersey... Oh, hi, look.
Hi. Hey, what's up, cat? This is Cat, or possibly Cleo. This is a little stray that lives here near where my mom and my uncle do. And she is super friendly. She likes getting food, but she just loves people. And apparently they didn't want to encourage her to hang around, so they didn't feed her for a while. But the guy who lived here before them used to feed it, and so the house, this cat owns the house. So this is like the landlord, and you have to pay her in pets. She lost her tail somehow, but she doesn't care. She's a scrappy little thing. Hi. You can see there's little food pellets, but she's like just really into human contact and friends. I like her.
Anyway, it's early in the morning. She's hanging out with me now. You can kind of see her, maybe not. But it's, I don't know what time it is, 7, 8. Early. I got up even earlier yesterday. It's they're on our early schedule here, and we're staying in their living room, and I'm also having trouble sleeping. None of that's important. I haven't actually worked on my iPad. I was thinking about doing that, but instead of working, I'm talking to you fine folks. Decided to come out and do a little update, and I decided to trim my toenails. But I'll do this outside so that I don't have to worry about keeping the clippings. The entire time I'm talking to you, she is rubbing and licking. She's licking me like a dog. She's the friendliest little stub cat. Yeah, I'm losing track of what I'm talking about. Saw my brother and his new wife yesterday, and we'll probably see them again today and do, I don't know what. This is a bad update. I'm sorry. I'm in Delaware. Here's something. While I've been out here, not in Delaware specifically, but the East Coast, I've had a few people contact me about various commissions, which is cool. And I've told them all, like, I can't really start them until I get back. Arguably, I could because I have the iPad, but my schedule out here is so wacky that, yeah, most of them, yeah. And most of them are fine with that anyway and don't need them immediately. So that's cool, but it's also good to know I have work coming when I get home. And I still haven't heard back from the guy about those sci-fi covers. I don't know what's going on with that. I also heard from a caricature client that I have coming up for a job in May, like a live, you know, live studio performance. That makes no sense. A live caricature gig at a party. There's a blue jay over there. There's a lot of birds in the morning. If you want to see morning birds, then get up in the morning. Anyway, and it was a thing where I had accidentally misquoted her a lower price through the party site. It was a thing where I thought it was an hour. It was an hour and a half. I quoted her for an hour, and so after doing the research and realizing it was my mistake, I honored that price because I'm a professional. But she called me out here. I wanted to add time, and I'm like, okay, I can't really talk right now. I was actually with my friend, and it was just noisy, and I was like, you know, let me email you, whatever. So we did that, and I told her the price for the extra half hour at the full normal price, thinking it was going to be an issue. But she's like, that's fine. And I was like, ah, man, like, so, like, she got this better deal, but she could afford it, and whatever, it's fine. But I'm glad she added the extra half hour because that means the rate is closer to what I would normally get. Man, I look like a tired, like, my eyes are like, meh. But, yeah. So work continues, not directly, but indirectly while I'm out here, as well as following up on a few conventions that I was trying to get into that I haven't heard anything. And I ordered a package from Indonesia like 8 months ago that decided to ship while I'm here. And our friends are watching the cat, and they're like, oh, we got a tag. They says they keep trying to deliver it. And I've been trying to get in touch with them, but it's I put a hold on my U.S. mail, It's not FedEx or UPS. Oh, it might be FedEx, but it's through something called TNT because it's international shipping. And I have been spending the last 2 days trying to get a hold of them, and they're like, oh, this and that. And I'm like, oh, I'll do the Facebook page. And like, call this number. And I call the number, nobody answers. And then I emailed and blah, blah, blah. And I keep getting responses like a day later, well, 12 hours later, where you're like, do more. But I'm worried that my package will be sent back to Indonesia because the price I paid included shipping. And if I have to pay shipping again, I can see it being quite expensive. So anyway, that's that. There's a hawk. There's a lot of, I don't think you could see. Nope. No, you can't. But there's some trees. Do you have those where you are? Trees?
Are you going to come back for the barbecue time?
Let's see. Escorts.
What are you doing? Oh, there she is. Hello.
So my mother, in the last 2 or so years, started collecting Pyrex. You can see she has a nice display case here. And she collects vintage stuff, and she has it around her house, and I love it. Both my brother and I really like that she collects it because we are both collectors of various things. He collects computers and things that I don't collect. I collect toys, etc. But we all bond over going to thrift stores and eBay snipers and all that kind of stuff. And here's how I know she's a real collector. She has ads framed on her wall. That goes beyond just the functional, I'm going to use these bowls, and I love it. Born to Game is a comic store in Delaware, right near my mom's house. It's a new-ish store. It looks like it has a lot of good gaming stuff. And a fair selection of toys, back issues, current issues, etc. They did agree to take some copies of the Horror A4 on commission, which, either I'll get my mom to check in on them or they will just be gone as advertising. As I've talked about before, sometimes when it's gone on commission, it's just the same as saying, hey, here's some advertising. Dollars. Dollars? No. What? Leaving Delaware. It's raining. I'm pumping my own gas. You can't pump your own gas in New Jersey. You can in California. And here I am doing it in the in-between. On the way back to Jersey, there was another Waffle House, so we stopped one last time. Luckily, we both like this sort of crappy, great food. And there's my waffle with plenty of butter, once again helping me gain weight on this trip. And the bridge we went over, tell me this isn't some scary craziness. It doesn't have like an alien invasion or like right over the hill there's an army invading. But no, it's just a bridge, a normal, I guess, bridge that you have to cross. I don't understand it. I don't remember it being like that when I used to live there. It's a different bridge now than the one I used to cross. It's more convenient, but also more terrifying.
So that's the end of this vlog. I kind of cut it because we're at a half hour and there's more New Jersey, but I don't want my videos to be that long. It's already pretty long. So anyway, till next time, I'm me, you're you, unless we're not. Finally, I'm out, you're in, sane!
Findelado, hacinal godaf, e budov kadole, hace todo gaja, in all of that is,
It's still recording.
Hi! It's me, GAZBOT, and I am giving you this update of my old past. Sure, here's a bunch of videos coming at you that are no longer current. In other words, sometimes I put up a video, hey, I drew this today, and people are like, oh, well, maybe, what am I talking about? I don't know.